Alrighty, I'm just starting about 2 minutes early. I might do a second introduction in about a minute, actually. But let's just go for it. Welcome to this happiness class. I'm going to do it every week. What is it about? I put a little list of things. It's super chilled out is the first thing I want to say, right? It's an opportunity for you to ask questions if you think anything I'm saying is pretty useful or not. The things I've got to say, yes, they're based on Islam, but it doesn't mean it's all theory. You'll find when you listen to Islamic ideas, that actually, especially nowadays, there's so much research and evidence coming out that Islamic ideas are really scientific. In fact, it doesn't come out quite like that. It's more like if you learn about Islam and then you look at like TED Talks. I love TED Talks, TED. I'm just going to write down stuff since TED Talks, yeah, especially on psychology and whatever. There's so many videos out there, right? You'll see that it totally aligns with Islamic ideas more and more. Ideas that we didn't know before, like, I don't know, when you shake hands, it creates positive chemicals, serotonin, I can't remember what it was, stuff like that, right? So this is an open question answer. You can ask anything you want. It's about making you happier, but not just you, making the whole world a better place. It's not really a selfish kind of video, but it's okay to be a little bit selfish if you need to feel happier. But happiness, to truly be happy, you have to kind of know your place in the world. This is my quick introduction. You say, how do you navigate relationships? How do you, all sorts of things, economics even, we will talk about. Like if you don't think you've got an economic solution to all the big problems in the world we're facing with a pandemic and everything, then that's not, how can you truly be happy? Like, Islam has solutions for everything: economics, the environment, religion, and it's not an exclusive religion in the sense that, for example, you can go to heaven even if you're not a Muslim, that kind of stuff, right? So ask me your questions in the live stream chat. I'll answer them. Even just part of the end of my introduction. Even let's see how good I'm not very good at this tool. Really not an expert. Let's hide it. If I stop share screen and then I'm gonna share screen on a different page. Yeah. So share screen and cool. Right. So yeah, I've got a website where you can watch all my previous shows. I'm just restarting again. I stopped for a while, but anyway, I'm going to start again. 7 to 8 p.m. every Friday, UK time, 7 to 8 p.m. What I was going to say, even if you are shy to ask questions in public on the live stream or whatever, then you can actually go to my website and go to contact me. It's just I'll just do the website by myself. So, and just got my email. So, whatever, email me there if you want to ask me in private. Ask me in the comments, and even if after the video, and I get notifications, either I usually answer, in the comment directly, plus I'll give a longer answer maybe in the following videos, stuff like that. So that's my introduction. Let's go back to what am I going to talk about today. If nobody asks me a question, what I'm going to talk about is, just share that now. Share screen, share application window. Oh, it's not. Where's it? Wait. Oh, there you go. There it is. Okay. Yep. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to talk about, well, I tried to, I've got an hour, so I thought if I change topics every 10 minutes, that could be not bad. So gratefulness is my first topic, the subtlety of happiness, slavery at work, Islam and slavery. I mean, you might be wondering, why am I talking about Islam and slavery? Basically, I asked somebody like, have you got a question about Islam? And he said something like slavery, and I'll introduce it later on. COVID, what is Islam's solution to COVID? And then I asked, like, I tried to make it not about my ideas. Like, I asked people, what should I talk about? So I asked my 8-year-old daughter, and she said charity. So I said, okay, well, I just saw a video about foreign aid. That's kind of to do with charity. I might talk about the benefits to you of paying charity as well. And I made a few notes about what I watched in that video and responding to those comments on that Good Morning written thing about should we give foreign aid given that we're poor now because of the pandemic. Anyway, so let's talk about the first one. So if the introduction was long, if you do find my introductions long, or you got any comment about how I could do things better, I'm not a professional, so you can just tell me how to do things better and what what you might like better. Anyway, so gratefulness. Gratefulness is absolutely key to happiness. You can have everything in the world. This is the thing. So I'm not going to be perfect about quoting things from Islam like all the time. I'm really trying to be super chilled out about this in the sense that not prepare much because I get so busy that I don't have time to prepare too much. But anyway, there is a saying of Prophet Muhammad. There's loads of sayings about gratefulness, but one is paradise is the home of the grateful, or the generous. Wrong saying. So I'm going to retract that, but you can learn something from that other quote, the quote I just gave. So in Islam, one of the first things, in Islam, when you pray, you basically start, the first thing you say is, all thanks belongs to God. Like, just saying it, for me, if I'm having a tough day, just saying that has a really positive effect on my mind. So being grateful for what you have really changes your mindset and makes you more positive just by saying things. What you say affects what goes back into your ears. We, as human beings, if you're interested in psychology, we're very much affected by the words that come out of our own mouths. We're often unaware of the subtleties of what makes us happy or not. So being grateful is really important. One saying of Prophet Muhammad is, if you're not grateful to human beings, you cannot be grateful to God. So that's interesting. Why that is very quickly, even though that's not the main topic, the point of saying, one of the points of saying that is to be grateful. But God is like a lot more generous. Like, you get air from God and stuff like that, but a lot more subtle as well. Like, you get so much air from God that you forget that is so important. But if you didn't get air for a minute, like, you would be more grateful. But God is so generous that you don't feel it. It's like really weird, isn't it? So gratefulness really affects your mind in a positive way. Try to be grateful. There's a lot of studies on gratefulness. I recommend, after listening to my videos, just YouTubing some of the words I say, and you probably learn a lot by that. If you know about it already, that's great. I like to say I'm kind of like the nursery school teacher of happiness and Islam and stuff like that. So one day you learn, you might know loads more than me, actually. In fact, that reminds me, if anybody wants to join the show and share your wisdom about Islam and happiness and stuff like that, that'd be so cool. You're welcome. I'm not like some super guru that knows all the answers, but I want to add that a lot of the answers over the many, many years I've been talking about this since I was a kid, I seem to have a lot of the answers, and they're really simple, not because I'm clever, but because Islam kind of connects you to the truth in a really simple way, and everything suddenly becomes more simple. So that's a pretty cool thing about Islam. It gives you so many answers so easily. So yeah, gratefulness. It gives you a positive mindset. Prophet Muhammad said, peace be upon him, he said that you should always do not look, something like this, do not look up but look down. I'm probably phrasing it wrong. Basically, do not look at do not look at what you don't have, but do look at what you do have. Compare yourself with people who have less than you, because the way the human mind works is that it automatically adapts to whatever you got. So when you get more stuff, you think you're going to be really happy, but your mind adapts to it. It's like, oh, I got a bigger house, and then you get in the house, you're happy for a minute, and then you just get used to it, right? Okay. So it's really important not to keep looking up, because you'll always be miserable if you do that. The Quran also says, I'm just going to spend 1 minute on gratefulness. The Quran also says that the world is like a mirage. If you're chasing worldly things, that is, that you keep thinking, oh, happiness will be there, and then you chase it, you get the new iPhone or something, and then you're not so happy because it's not there, it's somewhere else. So by not being grateful, you're going to cause yourself a lot of damage. Anyway, those are a few words. If you've got any more questions on that, it's actually easier to kind of respond to people's comments rather than just talk about stuff to myself. Next one, subtlety of happiness. So this is really cool. So I've been watching videos about some guy who lives in Bali, and his videos start off like, I don't need to show you how good Bali is, just look at this. And then what he'll show you is what might look like lots of grass, okay? But I'm not making fun of what he's saying. I totally agree with it, in fact. Like when you say, a lot of people love the sea, but what is the sea? It's just lots of water. Nobody put a really complex building or a work of art there. We have a natural connection with nature. We love the more pure, like you can go to a plain desert and look at it and be like wonderstruck. And it's so plain because it's pure nature. Yeah, we haven't spoilt it, as it were. Yeah, when we start building buildings, I'm not against putting buildings. We got to live somewhere, and human beings are part of that beauty as well. When they're their true selves, when they're more like children and spiritual as well. Happiness is a subtle thing. Okay, that's what I want to talk about. Why is that an important topic? Because in the West, we're so far away from knowing what really makes us happy. What we do in the West, like in Christmas, is probably like such a miserable time if you think about it, because a lot of people do, they spend tons of money on stuff that's going to make you happy, like for a minute, and then you're going to get used to it. And then you're going to be so miserable because you've spent so much money, it didn't really make you happy. Okay, people are just going to debt and all sorts of ridiculousness. They're so stressed out because they have to give expensive presents to different people. Like in Eid, we have 2 Eids, which are like your Christmases, or Christians' Christmas, right? Like don't even barely give presents. This is the kind of present we'll give. So like my son will get like maybe £10, right? And I'm happy when he does this. It's not like perfect, but he buys loads of sweets and he gives it out to his cousins, right? That is the best way. Like you just give small sweets. People love freebies and the small things make people happy. I do this at school, even if I'm finding people really annoying there or something like that. In the staff room, I would every Friday, I would just give out cupcakes and stuff. Okay, and other people are beginning to copy as well. Just celebrating, making other people happy with small things. That's what really makes people happy. Subtle things make people happy. In fact, the big things often don't make you happy. They kind of make you happy and then make you really sad afterwards. Okay, so that's kind of another angle I'm going to go in. So big happiness could be like taking drugs and getting really high. But if you look at the medical definition of a lot of drugs, like alcohol especially, they're actually called depressants. Okay, because they get you high for a little bit and then screws up your internal system. So what's the alternative? Islam is, I want to very quickly say, is not about don't do. It's like it gives you an amazing solution and then says don't do something, right? For example, it will tell you all the ways, amazing ways to be happy, like a whole lifestyle of positive choices. So then it will say don't take alcohol, right? So super chilled out lesson. So I'm going to be drinking my tea. Yeah. So what are some of the things that will make you happy? Being close to nature, definitely. Knowing God. So basically, what is our why does I'm gonna go connect the two things I just said, like being close to nature and knowing God. Some people might like guess what I'm gonna say, but there's some beautiful things that, because it's a chilled out lesson. Yeah, it's a lesson, happiness class. I'm going to get some awesome quotes, right? Yeah. I'm going to, while I'm getting the quotes, you can see me get them, to how I get them, sort of thing. So if I share screen, then I click that. Nope, I want application window, sorry. Think of that one. Cool. All right, so one of the places I get my quotes for is this awesome book, free book on the internet, Wisdom of the Holy Prophet. Lots of short quotes. Beautiful. Like I'll scroll like how short the quotes are. This is just a long introduction on different topics. I don't know. Husband and wife or something, relationships. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the connection between nature and God and why you should try to connect to God, know God. Just contemplating God will make you happy. It's just like connecting with nature. So I'm going to go to this very important website, alislam.org. Go to that. Okay, Al-Islam means the Islam, basically. Al is Arabic. It's a weird title, I know. And I'm going to open up a life-changing book. Loads of people say, like, people who become Muslim recommend this book called The Philosophy. Come on. Philosophy. Oh wow, look at my spelling. Okay, here we go. What's the spelling? Philosophy of the Teachings of Islam. I probably just can Google it straight away and it'll come to this page I'm going to. Yeah. I wonder, I'm just going to download it, I think. It's the best way to search this book. Come on, where's the download? There it is. Will it show? Yes, showing, awesome. Okay, I'm just going to do search for exalted. Okay, so exalted being then. There you go. Search for an exalted being. Okay, fine. Okay, so click enter. Of the natural conditions, like much better than my words, are the words of the promised reformer of the age. So I'll quickly introduce, like, I'm a Muslim, but I'm part of a revolutionary group that's supposed to change the world through love. Our motto is love for all, hatred for none. And specifically, I'm a follower of the what is known as second coming of Jesus and the Imam Mahdi, if you're coming from a Muslim point of view. Yeah, stuff like that. He, or also known the Imam Mahdi, means the guided one who's supposed to revive faith in all over the world, not just for Muslims. But anyway, this is a book that he wrote that said will change people's lives if they read it. So try reading and testing if it works. Yeah, I'm just going to read a few words very quickly. Here we go. Of the natural conditions of man is his search after an exalted being, that is God. So he naturally wants to know God. Why is it? Whom he has an inherent attraction. This is manifested by an infant from from the moment of his birth. As soon as he is born, it displays a spiritual characteristic that it inclines towards its mother and is inspired by love of her. As its faculties are developed and its nature begins to display itself openly, this inherent quality is displayed more and more strongly. It finds no comfort anywhere except in the lap of its mother. I kind of want to skip to really another awesome bit. It is this attraction which the true creator has implanted in the nature of man. The same attraction comes into play whenever he feels love for another. It is a reflection of the attraction that is inherent in man's nature towards God. It's as if he is in search for something that he misses, the name of which he has forgotten, and which he seeks to find in one thing or another, which he takes up from time to time. A person's love of wealth, offspring, his wife, or his soul being attracted towards a musical voice are all indications of his search of the true beloved. So these are sort of, you could describe, it's just pointing at something. It's kind of like not necessarily a proof, but it's a statement that you can ask your soul, is this true? Like, what is the nature of, why am I attracted to this green bit of land? Or why am I attracted to this blue sea? What's so attractive to it? What is it in my mind that's so attractive to it, right? Why am I attracted to nature? Why do I find so much peace? And so that beautiful little bit of information there maybe help you believe that it's something to do with God. I just like the poetic nature of it. I don't necessarily say it's exactly proof. It's kind of a statement that you want to reflect on and see if it makes sense. There are more statements which are more like proof, looking at, how do we know God exists? Stuff like that. That's kind of coming up there. Anyway, so yeah. Right. What else is it? Where am I? I'm in 21 minutes. That means I should be on the next thing. The next thing that I'm supposed to be talking about is slavery at work. So this is a really important one. There are loads of miserable people. You can walk around, don't worry. There are loads of miserable people at work. It's kind of more common to be miserable at work than not. I'm not even sure if I find many happy people at work. So why they are not happy is because they are like modern day slaves. Okay, they are so scared that if they take one step wrong, they're going to lose their livelihood and stuff like that. And they do lots of boring stuff. They might even take jobs where they're not scared of necessarily getting things done wrong, but they are doing a job they hate because they know there's stability in it or something, right? And their whole lives are just dependent on getting the money and stuff like that. And so what's the alternative to being a slave? What's the solution? So I don't actually know too many things. I'm just gonna you'll probably find that whatever I'm gonna say now, it's just going to be repeated over and over again in different ways and different contexts. Yeah. So what comes to mind, because I don't really plan this stuff, is there's a chapter in the Quran, and it goes something like this. Well, it goes like this. Actually, I'm just going to do the English bit. Say, I seek refuge in the sustainer of human beings. Then it says the king. That means the one who controls and who you should fear, if anyone. Okay, the king of humanity. And then finally, now the first, so the sustainer, the king, and then the God. Now, God in the sense of like when you worship a pop star or something like that, right? The one you should love, right? So basically, if you do not want to be a slave to your job, then be a slave to God instead. And as soon as you're a slave to God, you become free of everything, right? And it makes sense to be a slave to God, because God is the real most powerful thing. Like, if there was, like, I don't know, a weak person and saying, like, listen to me, and then there's like, imagine God was visible or something, and this is like not being disrespectful, but this is the first thing that comes to mind, like God was like a huge 60-foot giant or something, and he's far more powerful than a 60-foot giant. But just to make it simple, then you'd be like, oh, I'm going to be, and then that 60-foot giant said, like, listen to me, not the skinny little person next to you. You would listen to the 60-foot giant. Okay, so in the same way, in a much better way, God is the one who gives you air, water, whatever. He's the one who really gives you the job as well. When you become more aware of what's happening, the more you depend on God, the more God will be serving you. So you can try it out in small parts. Like, my life is totally, God is helping me all the time. So that means I get loads more freedom. Oh, 2 people watching. Welcome. Thanks for watching. That's what, what's it called? This StreamYard thing I'm using tells me. Don't notice, I'm not very good at all this stuff, yeah? But I do have the chat in front of me. Feel free to ask a question if you feel like it, or just listen. Hopefully I'm interesting to listen to. Anyway, so yeah, be grateful to God for these 3 reasons. That God is, firstly, he's your sustainer. He gives you everything. Like, God is really positive when he's talking to human beings. He starts with all the positives, then he scares you a little bit if you don't understand the positive stuff. There's kind of 2 psychologies. That God knows you and knows how to talk to you, human beings generally. Yeah? So he starts with the really positive. It's like, you know, I give you everything, man. So, not a man, but I should be careful how I talk, like as if I'm talking on behalf of God or something. I'm not. But yeah, God sustains you, gives you everything you need. And yeah, if you're going to worship anything or depend on anything, that's God, right? Some people might think, like, because of their lack of inner reflection and awareness of what's happening, and they might go, oh, God's kind of like just the laws of the universe. You can't really talk to God, and you can't really be thankful to God. That's kind of really unrealistic. Like, laws of the universe kind of tell how things are working, but they're not like a machine that regulates itself. Like, all sorts of things happen and the universe has to react to it. God is very much alive. Okay, we can talk about that if you want. And let me put it this way: I was kind of starting this thing, and then I probably stopped talking about it. The more you depend on God, the more you see God, like, literally affecting your life in a really positive way. Like, the reason why I can just quit a job or whatever, like, so many good things happen anyway to me. Like, this is a perfect example, and now I'm getting into it. 3 minutes left. I've been in trouble so many times in jobs, right? Because I didn't want to do the wrong thing, let's say, yeah. And I'll be like smiling on my way out. And literally, because I'm a teacher, like, some kids, I remember going like, why are you so happy? Like, you're going to lose your job. I'll tell the kids I'm going, right? It's like, because I did the right thing. And also, that was like my quick answer, but I try not to get too religious in school, because maybe against the rules or something. But the real answer is, like, because I did the right thing, and I did it because I know God is watching me, God's just going to sort me out. God just sorts me out all the time in all sorts of cool ways. So I'm always good. I'm always fine. Yeah. So, yeah. Don't be a slave. Try not to be a slave. The more you depend on God, the more free you'll be, the happier you'll be. And then finally, really important, kind of the other side of the whole thing, of this equation, is that when I do work, I try to do it really well, because in Islam, work is worship. Basically, what that means is that when you're doing work, you should do it at a high standard, because God is watching you. Like, work is often a service of some sort, right? And you should do that service well. Don't do it badly. God is watching you. So then you'd be the opposite of slave. You'd be like, yeah, I'm doing something cool, right? It's not always the case. I should tell you, maybe put it in context. Like, I have loads of trouble. I've kind of mentioned I get in trouble just now. Like, I get fired, in trouble all the time, whatever. It's not like I lack problems. And that's probably a good thing, because then I can say, look, I'm still happy despite all the problems. Anyway, 1 minute left to slavery at work. So realize that God is your sustainer. Be aware of that. Become more aware of that and live your life according to that. God is your king. That's the only one you should be scared of. God is the one you should really love, okay? By reflecting on his qualities. I'll just tell you one quality of his. That is, he's Rahman. Rahman means the one who gives you without asking. You did not ask for air. There are so many beautiful qualities of God. Search for names of God. And then names of God are really just the qualities of God, because you can't see God, you can only know God by his qualities, and then you can love God accordingly. It'll make sense too. Anyway, 30 past, we're on the next subject. Every 10 minutes I'll change to a new topic. Say slavery at work, Islam and slavery. So okay, I was going to change what I'm sharing at the moment, like my little list of topics to talk about. So Islam and slavery, how did I even talk about it? I think I mentioned it in the quick intro of that. Trying to get comfortable in the seat, getting a little bit tired now. It's on this seat. Anyway, so somebody asked me, said, some of my mates say, how comes Islam says that it's against slavery, but it didn't totally abolish it? It didn't say you can't have a slave at all. So I've actually answered the question on bigquestionsanswered.com. Maybe I'll be lazy and look at it. No, I'll just show it to you. Might as well. And then it'll maybe remind me of some of the stuff I'm going to say. Let's do that. Is that? Oops. Wait a sec. Yep. Oh, application window. Sorry. Getting good at I'm practicing being good at this. Contact. Go to the main page maybe. And then scroll down, scroll up. Why didn't Islam not stop? Why did Islam not stop slavery completely? So yeah, I'm not really going to read it right now, but at least it's there. You can just search it. It's got a search on this website. So Islam basically made people. So Islam is a really practical religion. So people who don't, sometimes people want to they kind of live in a theoretical world. And Islam is not about living in the theoretical world. It's about living in the real world and real things that really change the world. And so at the time when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said slavery is really bad, you really shouldn't do it, there were so many slaves that were owned. So you can imagine if you used up all your money, for example, on slaves, and then you were told to free them, you'd have no money left, and that would be a bit difficult. So Islam employed a really smart solution. Okay, it's kind of a win-win solution, and that is treat your slaves really well, like much better than people are treated nowadays at work. Okay, so you're far more a slave than the way Muslims were told to treat their slaves. This basically. Islam said basically try to free your slaves as much as possible, give every excuse, and it made so many excuses to free them. Like if you were rude to a slave, like free them. If you did this, free them, all this kind of stuff, right? So it's all about that. But I'm just looking for kind of quotes. I thought I made them bold or something, but I just put them in quotes here. Whoever frees a Muslim slave, Allah will save all the parts of his body from hellfire, as he freed the parts of the slave. Okay. Basically, there's another one that you should wear the same clothes as your slave. Like, does your boss ever go like, oh, your clothes are not good enough, I want to buy you clothes just like me so we can match? Like, that we maybe a bit weird, but it's a beautiful thing, right? Imagine your boss did that. That's pretty nice. Okay, so basically, yeah, slavery is terrible, but not so that slavery could be weeded out slowly rather than just pulled out, and causing damage, long-term damage. It done it nicely, slowly, fairly quickly, actually. Loads of slaves were actually given away, lots freely, but some people didn't give them away straight away, but had to treat them really, really well, like same clothes, same food, respecting them, letting them eat on the same table. So yeah, okay, not really complicated answer. Looking at my answer, I'm just going to read out some awesome quotes, generally about equality, which people still don't have today, right? An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab. These are things that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said. Nor does a non-Arab have any superiority over an Arab. A white person has no superiority over a black person, nor does the black person, a black, have a superiority over a white, except by piety and good actions. So that's the only way, that's the only thing that matters, how good you are. That's the thing you should concentrate on. That's a famous part of a famous speech called the Last Sermon, or the farewell sermon before Prophet Muhammad is going to die, because he said, I don't know how long I'll be with you, and then he kind of gave these last words of wisdom as part of that. And that kind of thinking is not just words. These are things that have totally abolished slave-like thinking, even from the Muslim world. There's so many things in the Muslim world that you do that abolish that way of thinking. Just even praying, like, there is no, like, when you pray, there's no row, like Muslims pray feet by feet, shoulder to shoulder, men on one side, women on the other. That's another story. But nobody, like, you can have a king next to the dustbin man or something, I don't know, and then we shoulder to shoulder, everybody's brothers and sisters and all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing. Everybody has to say Assalam, peace be upon you. And then there's this thinking, and that is not actually taught, just to give you a comparison, not actually taught in religions like Christianity. And it's not really a knock on Christianity, because actually Jesus said himself that Christianity, or he didn't even make up Christianity, he just said he was a Jewish prophet. Okay, so it's just some other guy called Paul, or some people, Christians would call him Saint Paul, came in way after Jesus died, said he had a vision, and then, like I said, started saying all sorts of stuff that he claimed that Jesus said, even though his brother James, Jesus' brother called James, is like, Paul, what are you talking about? There's nothing to do with what Jesus said. I'm his brother. Like, yeah. Anyway, so Christianity does not defy racism, and the reason why it doesn't, there's a reason. Okay, it's not because it's bad, because Jesus was only supposed to talk to the Jews. It was only one race, so it's like there can't be racism in one race. Yeah, so there's no need. But when it became an international religion, which it was not supposed to be, because Jesus clearly said, I've only come for the 12 tribes of Israel, which are like the Jewish tribes. Yeah. And then it went to all these different countries which it was not supposed to go to. What happened was, and people started believing Jesus was a god, what the problem with that and why it caused racism is that, well, Jesus was kind of white. Yeah. So what it makes it, so when the English went to Africa to get slaves, they were like, yeah, man, they're black. God is white. No problem. Like, if God was black, there would be no way. These are Christians, basically, these slave traders. They literally thought they would say, thank God, when they got to America and only 100 people died. Like, thank God that only 100 people, or these black people you have no value, have died, right? Okay. So basically, Christianity encouraged racism and I'm not hating on Christianity. It's just a viewpoint, just making a point. I think it's practical and it's important, right? I have lots of Christian friends, fantastic people. Some of the most amazing people are Christians. Just saying the ideology, not hating on the people, just saying the ideology has problems. I'm trying not to be kind of hateful in any way, just pointing out certain things. Yeah. Love for all, hatred for none is a motto we go by. And by the way, if you're going to be angry with me, like it's a bit early days, like nobody's even talking to me, but just kind of like to say, if they're watching, like, I'm not going to be angry with you. I'm specifically being told, actually, it's not just like my point of view. So I've been asked to continue. I stopped this show for a little bit for whatever reasons, and then I was told by my spiritual leader, called the Khalifa, that I should continue it. And then he gave me a bit of advice in a letter. He said, if people are rude to you, do not be rude back, whatever you do. And that's part of the Quran. He quoted a verse of the Quran which says, when people are rude to you, pass by with dignity and just say salam or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, feel free to ask questions, is my point. And feel free to ask questions like without feeling like you might offend me or something. I think it's important to be able to ask the questions. Nowadays, there's so much this cancel culture. It's like people are so scared to say anything. Don't be worried about that here. And you might be surprised. I might agree with you a lot of stuff that you might think I disagree with. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. Next thing. What's next on my list? We're 42 past. or 41 past. I should be on the next topic. COVID. Right. What is Islam's solution to COVID? You might be surprised that Islam has solutions to so many things that are modern problems. They're not really. They're age-old problems. COVID-19 is just another disease, right? That spreads a lot. It's basically a plague of sorts. And 1 second. So Prophet Muhammad specifically gave an instruction that would very quickly solve the problem of the pandemic. And he said, sounds really so simple. If you hear of a plague in a land, don't go there. And if you are already in a land where the plague is, do not flee from it. Okay, well, pretty much common sense. I mean, a little bit not common sense because you might want to run away from it. Fair enough. So it's not 100% just common sense. But when you have a religious belief and you believe God is kind of behind it, then you listen to it. And then when you listen to it, it really, really helps you. So let's just see, why is it such a, although very simple, effective also solution to the pandemic? The reason why there is a pandemic is because people are moving around. That is the essential problem. And this solves it, right? And even though we can say it's simple, think about it. We're not implementing it in many countries. I'm in the UK. We have a huge problem with the pandemic, right? If we just follow that rule, there will be no pandemic. Even now, I'm a school teacher, right? And they make exceptions to the rules. Like if you're a kid, then a child, let's say a kid, whatever, and a teacher, then you go to these places and mix up. That doesn't make sense. So everybody else kind of separated in groups, like Okay, there's lots of COVID in that area, don't go there. But if you're in a school, you just break that rule. And my point is that we're not even sticking to this simple rule that I'm saying. Okay, so and if you fixed it, like, think about this, right? COVID is a living thing, a virus. If you just kept to the rule for a little bit, just kept to the rule, just for like 14 days properly, then the virus will suddenly die really quickly and you'll be solving the problem really quickly. So that's one bit. But Islam has like loads of different rules in general that are really helpful that I've talked about. I made a little video, my daughter, my 8-year-old daughter, Islam's solution to COVID or something. You can check that out if you like. But I broke down, like, I gave 3 solutions that Islam has to COVID. So one is what I've just said, the general rule, don't spread the virus, in short, okay? Then the second one, what did I say? I'll just come up with, there's actually loads of stuff that Islam says. One of the main things Islam says is listen to your leaders, right? So even though there's loads of rules, people are not following them because they don't listen to the leaders. Like, I don't want to listen to the leader, and nobody's watching me. No. God is watching you, and in Islam, like, even if it's not like an Islamic leader, so like Boris Johnson's non-Muslim, definitely listening to him, because in Islam, I'm told, listen to whoever is in charge of you. Okay, because in Islam, it hugely values unity and working together, and that is one of the biggest strengths of human beings. So Islam is all about working, giving you tips on life as a community, as an individual, that will greatly benefit you if you just follow it. So you win if you work in a community. Even in Islam, and there's a saying, for example, even if your leader's stupid, right? So a lot of people might think this leader's stupid or that leader's stupid. I'm being very careful about what I say because I don't believe in insulting people. Okay, it doesn't really help. Okay, so even if you think your leader is stupid, and I'm not saying they are, maybe making bad choices. That's another, whatever. I'm not going to go into that right now. So yeah, listen to your leader. You benefit so much just by listening, rather than everybody doing their own things. So just to add to that, like, if the leader makes a slightly bad decision, but it makes sense, just by following it, you really benefit from it. But by everybody doing their own thing and not listening, then you get no benefit and you get in big trouble, actually, because coronavirus is absolutely destroying the economy because we're not listening. Even if we listen to, we'll be better off listening than not listening to our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, for example. Okay, unless people don't listen, you always hear of like, oh, my mate had a birthday party, invited 100 people in the house. And the police are not going to find out about everything. You might hear the police find out about 1 or 2 things, but you got to police yourself. You got to listen to your government, knowing that only God is watching you. That's the main thing. Yeah, police can't be everywhere, but God is. So that's that. Listen to your government. The other thing I was going to say is, coming back to the first thing about the instruction is so simple. Like, don't go to infected areas. And if you're in an infected area, don't leave it, right? Just the fact that it's a simple instruction makes it so much easier to follow, like having tier 1, tier 2, 3. People are like lose track of what the rules are, yeah, and then might accidentally break the rules. So there's beauty in the fact that the rules are so simple. It's amazing. Like, I kind of said this in the beginning, right? That Islam has like such simple instructions, and like you just have to know a few things, and like suddenly you're like solving all the problems in your life. It's just amazing. Just tiny bits of wisdom. You know, you don't have to be a Muslim. Just try the rules out. You know, I really do recommend you become a Muslim. It's not like a big deal. Like, just going to help you out, right? Whatever. everybody makes their own choices, right? So, yeah. Another thing I like to say, since I got like 2 minutes more on COVID, because I'm doing 10 minutes per question, is that there's a saying, there's a saying and bits of the Quran as well. You can read in different parts, but your leaders come from among you and you deserve them. So it's kind of logical, right? But basically my point is that sometimes we don't listen to leaders because we're always saying, oh, you're a rubbish leader, I'm not going to listen to you. But actually, that leader is a reflection on you. And you go, no, we're good. It's just the leaders that are bad and evil. No. If you just look at like the politics and the ridiculously bad behavior just in other companies that we work in, then that tiny bit of a reflection will remind you that we are not that good. In England, anyway. Like, there's so many problems everywhere I go. Like, well, why are you behaving like so arrogantly and so negatively towards the whole school and or wherever you work? Like, why are you ruining things? It's actually not just my opinion. It's like people do studies on this. It's like loads of people try to destroy the companies they're working in. Yeah. So don't fix yourself, be the change that you want to see in the world. That's an awesome quote. I love copying, very much in line with Islam. Don't blame your government, listen to them, stuff like that. Okay, so what's the next one? After COVID, charity. My 8-year-old daughter said I should talk about charity. Okay, so very quickly, let's start off with this. First of all, charity is really good for you. There's been a TED Talk. Love my TED Talks. It says how to buy happiness. Maybe YouTube it. Okay, and basically they did a study and they said they proved or showed that you get more happy by buying stuff for other people than buying stuff for yourself. So that's a small bit of wisdom there. And it doesn't have to be big stuff. In fact, Islam also says another awesome thing, I should say, not just one awesome thing. Smiling at other people is charity. Now, why is that so awesome? Okay, first of all, it's free. Smiling is free. Second of all, when you smile, it like starts doing stuff to your brain and you start feeling happy. But this is the cool thing, why it is charity. Like, charity is like something you take from yourself to another person. Like, how's smiling charity? Okay, this is an awesome thing. This kind of thing I was saying that it's like science is catching up with Islam, right? When you smile, people, scientists, psychologists, whatever, have found out that human beings automatically imitate the expressions on other people's faces. So if you smile at somebody, they will automatically smile back. I suppose they can control it. Like, so you tell them in advance that they're going to smile when you smile or something. They'll be like, okay, I'm not going to smile. But normally they imitate, right? And then when they imitate, automatically, subconsciously, then they find those happiness chemicals happening in the head, right? Okay, and then this comes back to the subtlety of happiness. This is this video, this YouTuber I'm watching. Maybe, okay, you know what? I want to go to this YouTuber, right? Maybe you'll watch his video. How am I going to do it? So I'm going to stop share screen. And then I'm going to share screen. Then I'm going to, let's open up a tab maybe. I need to do that. Oh, that. Okay, cool. So I'm sharing that page, but I don't really want to share that page. I want to go to this YouTuber that I've been watching his stuff recently. Let's see. Oh, that's me. I try not to watch this anymore, by the way. It's just being rude about people. I have to admit, I did find it funny, but the reason why the people of Bali are so happy. Oh, that's such a cool video. I'm gonna watch that next. Okay. So watch this guy, Luke Life Charms. Awesome videos. Okay, so I just started watching his video like a week ago, and his video went something like this, right? It's actually related to what I'm about to talk about, the smiling thing, right? And charity. Come on, what was I going to say? Yeah, he basically, the first video I watched, he said something like, I'm so happy in Bali, and the main reason is the people. And why? Because the people just smile at me. He was talking about like it's some mystical thing, like there's some energy. Oh my gosh, there's an amazing energy in here. People just smiling at each other, saying hello to each other. And actually, that's an Islamic teaching that as soon as you meet somebody, say assalamu alaikum. It's like even better than hello. It means peace be upon you. The meaning of assalamu alaikum, besides peace be upon you, the idea behind it is that when you say it, it means I offer you peace for myself. I'm not going to be rude to you. I offer you peace from me. Right? How beautiful is that way of saying hello? Okay, so like literally you're smiling at people, which is an Islamic teaching I just told you about, and saying peace be upon you is so important because you're recognizing each other. It just reminds me of that amazing film Avatar, and I see you. It's like one of the key things, like recognizing each other, like not recognizing, like confirming that you saw each other, right? You know, like if you're in London, people just ignore each other, right? They don't even make eye contact, and that makes people miserable. Like no wonder people are miserable in London, right? Okay, despite having loads of money, not everybody's got loads of money, but loads of people do. Okay, so that stuff really makes people happy. But I'm going to go back to another thing which I was going to talk about. So I watched this Good Morning Britain stuff. I wonder if it comes up. Anyway, and yeah, I watched Good Morning Britain for topics to talk about. And the video was about like, should we give foreign aid? Because we're so poor right now because of the pandemic, okay? So, quick answer to that. Right. So, quick answer, many different answers. But in Islam, it's all about working with your neighboring countries. Like if you are rude, think about like you're in a house or a home, flat, whatever, and you're rude to your neighbor, you're going to have problems. You need to be good with your neighbor as much as you can. You got to take care of yourself first, though, as well, right? So that's in Islam. In Islam, it says, if you're going to give charity to your home first, right? So fair enough. Like basically, that means be good to your own country. Make sure you give loads of money to your country as well. But don't need to be selfish about it, right? Yeah. So, but it is kind of selfish by helping other people. Like you can say, oh no, we never have enough money. Like actually, you do have money, and we could. And in the video, it did make some good points. Some ladies said, well, it's not just about giving money or not giving money. How about changing the question to, should we not tax the richest people so that at least they're paying the same amount percentage-wise as the poor people? Because poor people, as a percentage of their earning, pay way more than rich people. Like rich people like almost don't pay tax because they got the accountants so they don't have to, right? So why not fix that problem first? That would make more sense. And it's to your benefit that you take care of the global village that we're in now. So these people that you're helping are outside the tiny borders of your country, but because you trade with those people and stuff like that, it's kind of in your benefit that you do be nice to them. But I say helping them, like in practice, a lot of the countries that we're giving aid to, especially in Africa, we're kind of taking way more money from them than we're giving. That kind of stuff doesn't come in the news too much, but people are aware of it quite a lot. It's a very old problem. So it's simplistic just to say that one small point that they made in the Good Morning video as an argument against giving foreign aid is that by giving money, it doesn't help the country just by giving money. And that's true, absolutely true. That doesn't mean you don't find ways of giving it. So, for example, if you just buy lots of mosquito nets, then you actually destroy the local mosquito businesses. If you give mosquito nets for free, for example, why don't you enable those companies to do it better or something? Stuff like that. There are good and useful ways to help people. It's kind of an excuse, really, if you just like, oh, I can't help you because it won't make any difference. That's like just laziness. Be more loving and you will be a happier person. If you think that way, you will be very miserable. You will lose if you're not generous, which is what I said in the beginning. Happiness is the abode of the generous, or paradise is the abode of the generous. Anyway, hour's up. Please feel free to ask questions next week.